unofficial start of free agency is here. Welcome to the Misreps podcast. My name's Kanal. Adam, how you doing, man?
I am good. And, just for everyone out there and on YouTube and everywhere else, praise the sun. Praise it. Praise it.
What is your Sundance?
My Sundance, because daylight savings kicked in over the weekend. And it was funny because I was actually up around the time and I was like walking out and I was like, let me just get it's very late, obviously. I just want a little snack or just some water. I come out, I'm like, man, oh, okay, it's like 2 a.m. Cool. Look at my phone. Oh, it's 3. What happened? I was like, oh, we get more sun now.
Yeah,
And
but
hopefully, I've been hearing in the government they're trying to hold on to this daylight savings like indefinitely, but we'll see.
some states do, some states don't.
I'm talking about overall, all of America.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be good luck getting that passed.
I want it done.
Yeah, but it's pretty sweet. Like you can tell it's still daylight here over here too. So definitely don't mind that.
Oh yeah, man. So I mean,
But dude, free agency is here. Well, it's basically like the unofficial start of free agency. As of the time of the recording, this is the 14th for us here. Um, free agency officially starts tomorrow on the 15th. But a lot of moves have already happened, and we're so excited to go through them with y'all.
yeah, it's just all about like officializing the deals. I think that the only thing they'll say is like Wednesday you can officialize your deal then, but it's already done. It's just done by word of just like, hey, we shook hands on it. We just can't sign the paperwork till Wednesday. So
Yeah, I think the franchise tags and all that stuff we talked about last week, I think those are
mhm.
done deals. Like in terms of like when you could do those, it's just like the signing the new contracts and
That's internal though. Like internal, you can
internal.
make
Yeah,
new
you can do
deals,
whatever.
franchise tags. That's easy. It's just when you're trying to I guess pick up. Apparently, everyone's just like, yeah, I want him, and him too, and we'll just wait till Wednesday. And I'm just like, okay, everyone got their players because the Seahawks have actually like signed a big free agency deal in the past.
Who
Like
would have
what? I
thunk?
think who would have thunk it? Like what 3 or 4 years or so? Because usually we just wait till the second round and we get people for like a year and 7, basically the vet minimum, if you will, right? So we
Well, yeah,
signed Jamont Jones from the Broncos for.
we're just slowly cannibalizing that team, aren't we?
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, we kind of are, and I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do because I think they're trying to let some receivers go, but we'll get to them later. But 3 years, $51 million deal, and I think about like 30-ish million of it is like guaranteed. Um, he's the D tackle that we need in the center. I don't, besides the draft coming up, we may hopefully get either Jalen Carter or Anderson Jr., but we can place him anywhere. This is the
Yeah,
beauty of it. Just go and watch like any footage of Draymond Jones, and you can place him at nose, you can place him at 2I, you can place him at 4, 5, whatever you want. I'm happy.
yeah, and I think this is the fact that we made this move after we had Brandon Jackson come in.
Oh
We
yeah,
know
man.
it's a him kind of guy because I think that's the kind of organization that we run. So I'm pretty stoked having we haven't had a young defensive tackle like I mean like I should say not young. We
How old
always
is he?
had
He's
like
like no, he's like 26, 27.
yeah, I think it's right somewhere around there.
Oh
But
yeah.
what I mean is that we haven't had we always seem to get those veterans, at defensive tackle and nose tackle, and then we'll have like some very young, maybe undrafted rookies. Like that's how Puna Ford came through and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we haven't had like a guy that's kind of like in his prime come in and be that anchor on our defensive line for a long time since, Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill and all those guys. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty exciting place to be, at least, from a fan, we actually did something, that's more than the pack we can say if we were Packers fans.
Oh no, Packers, they just notoriously known for never doing free agency. They're just all about draft. That's us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we can place him anywhere. I think this is really good. Like at the very least, we at least have someone at D tackle. If we went to go and get an edge and another D tackle way later in the draft or something, we at least have a vet presence right there, which
Yeah.
is what you were talking about last week. You wanted at least one vet of some kind on the D line somewhere, so we don't have every rookie imaginable there, right? So I mean, that's like our only signing so far. But in terms of anything else the Seahawks have done, we've just been doing pretty much a lot of cap savings. So Cody Barton, he was signed to the Commanders. I don't know why they let him go, but I guess they just want to save as much money as possible and let it either spend it like we just did with Draymond Jones. Um, and he's to the Commander, so good luck to him.
I think he got a 1 year fully guaranteed deal. So, more
Yes.
power to him. Like, that's fully guaranteed contracts are, always
Yeah,
very
I'll
appealing.
take those. And of course, I already knew this was going to happen. Well, not to the team he's going to, but I knew we were going to release him. That's Rashad Penny. He is now with the Eagles, which, I mean, hey, when healthy, Rashad Penny is like one hell of a running back. But of course, you just have to like use him in tandem with another running back because those injuries. That's
Yeah.
just the thing. When healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he was off to the races. I mean, we gave him a 1 year prove it deal, and one you always hope that those 1 year prove it deals pan out for everyone because then it means that you can keep him for a longer period of time, and if you can get that contract with him. But it just didn't work out for him. But Rashad Penny on the Eagles, they're a good running team. They still have a relatively solid offensive line core. He should get a lot of touches on that team, so he should thrive hopefully and stay healthy.
Yeah. Next up, we have some other releases from the D line, actually. And Quentin Jefferson, who I believe we chose him in the not the first, I think it was the third round we chose him in the draft a while, like 4 or 5 years ago now. Was it
No,
five,
so
six?
he was like he's bounced around. So he was on the team. I think when we won the Super Bowl. I think that's how long he's been. Long ago he was on the team. But you can
Mhm.
probably fact check me on this. But I think he was
No,
on
he
the
was there.
Colts at
Yeah, he
one
was
point.
there. Hmm.
He was on the Colts at one point too. I think, and so he was kind of like a veteran that came last season. But yeah, he's. You never know. He might actually end up coming back on like an even smaller contract. We'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, but yeah, it was back in 2016. We drafted him. I don't remember the
Okay, so
place we
after the
drafted
Super
him.
Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, we drafted him. But then he only played for us for like a good 3 seasons. Then he was going all around, of course. But got to save money. Quentin Jefferson and Shelby Harris. That's another big name that we let go. Which honestly, I believe the cap savings was around 13 million. That's one thing, and then two, it's just like
For
we're
the
just
for the
basically
pair
just
of them.
yeah, for the pair, and we're just trying to get younger at this point. I think everyone knows we're getting younger because it started last year when we let like Russell. We traded Russell Wilson, got rid of Bobby Wagner. Unfortunately, I'm
Hey,
sorry,
bring him
y'all.
home. Bring him home.
We're trying to bring him home, but I think he's really
Bobby,
just
not
still,
Russ.
yeah, Bobby. Russ can stay where he at. He got it going for him. So, uh, but yeah, Quentin Jefferson, Shelby Harris, they're released. Good luck to them in their future endeavors. And finally, this is just more of a question, but do we think Puna Ford is on the chopping block, or are we gonna try to retain him on some type of a decent deal, or are we gonna like let him
He's
go? Because
still under contract, right?
I thought he was up for free. I thought he was up for free agency from what I could
Oh, if
see.
he's up for free agency, yeah, that's a good question because he was kind of a feel good story for the team. He came through as an undrafted rookie, and so he's like, I think he's like short. He's like my height, but like 300 pounds. He's like 5'10" or something like that,
I,
five
I
nine.
mean, I can see him still being a part of like that D tackle rotation,
Rotation, yeah.
if not on the D, like put him at DN and stuff like that. I feel like he was like one of our better D tackles to have.
I
And
always I'll still always remember the play when I think it was 2-3 years ago where Christian McCaffrey was when he was still in the Panthers. Obviously, yeah, he was running for it. He was running laterally parallel to the line of scrimmage, and out of nowhere, Puna Ford comes up from behind him and takes him down. I'm like, damn, that guy came up behind Christian McCaffrey and took him down.
oh man, that's the beautiful thing. And I love the big boys on the D line. Hopefully we can retain him, but I don't know if he's looking for big money. That's the thing. If he's looking for big
Yeah,
money, we will probably let him go. Unfortunately, really loved having Puna Ford if that's the case. So nothing came out today. I actually thought we were also going to. This is not even in the script. But I thought we were also going to let Al Woods go, but I
yeah.
guess he's still
I was just thinking that name too. Actually, I was like, I haven't heard that anything regarding that name yet, but
because that man is 36 years old. On the team. There's nothing against him, but it's also just like I feel like I believe if I remember correctly, there's like a $7 or $8 million like cap savings if you just cut him. So
yeah.
regardless, we'll also keep an eye out for that as well. But I don't know if we're trying to replace our whole D tackle rotation, which is another thing to think about. So maybe they might keep him just to like put him in here and there instead of leaving him out there for all downs.
Yeah,
But
there's I mean, that goes under the role of like having like a veteran on the team as well. Like if you can retain him on a vet min, that's great. But there are also other vets out there that we can use to fill in that role. Like, Calais Campbell is obviously a guy that isn't the same as he used to be, but he still can fit into a rotation and give some relief snaps to some players and still give that leadership. Because obviously
mhm.
we don't have Shelby Harris anymore, who he did produce, but he wasn't the game wrecker that we were expecting. Kind of he had his moments, but I mean, I think the entire defensive front seven just struggled to get to the quarterback, so it's hard to gauge.
That run game, that was the big one. It was really the run game this past season, more so than getting to the quarterback, because yeah, that was just a big one. I think we actually had a lot more pressures and sacks than years before, but then it was just the run game. That's
Yeah,
what killed us.
it
If
just that
everyone
slow
remembers the
grinding.
Raiders game, because that was, oh
Raiders,
my god,
Panthers did it to us
Panthers
too.
did it. Pretty much
Yeah,
anyone that was like, you know what, just run
let's
the
just run,
ball. Just run it.
run the
Even
damn
I'll run
ball.
it. I'm a long snapper, but I'm run it too. Like I can get
Yeah.
some yards. But yeah, so we're trying to redo the whole D tackle. So I think they're gonna, after getting Draymond Jones in that first round, I think they're gonna probably look for maybe one more, or at least retain either Poona Ford or Al Woods. I believe they're both up for free agency as well. I think we talked about Al Woods before.
Mhm.
But anywho, let's go around the division though, because we got to talk about what's been happening, with everyone else on the team. For one, the Cardinals, not too much their way. I think they're just getting used to their new coach, their goofy coach over there that everyone's talking about.
We.
What was that from?
I don't know. What's
Like
his
you
name
were
again?
just
It's Jonathan Gannon, right?
yeah, because you brought it up though, because like, I was
No,
just like,
he was like he was meeting the players coming in, and he was like, "Hey, I heard you're fast." The
oh
guy
my,
just the player just looked afraid for his life. Like this man is definitely gonna steal, is gonna try to kill me in my sleep and steal my face.
yeah, man. Because I don't know. I mean, hey, as long as he's just open and all that type of stuff, that's cool. But they need to win some games. Only thing on the Cardinals, they had the offensive tackle Kelvin Beachum, Kazir White, linebacker. Both of them got like 2-year deals. One's 15.5, the other one's 11. So there's no huge deals the Cardinals has done in terms of the free agency as of yet. But I think everyone wants to know what happened to, the Rams. But let's talk about the 49ers, though, because, the Rams, I got to save that for last, because I got to talk about that one a little bit
Oh,
on
we
the
got
Rams
thoughts.
side.
We got thoughts.
So we got the man, the myth, and the legend,
The
going to
Darnold.
the Darnold. Sam Darnold is a quarterback for the 49ers now. Not sure their quarterback room is, but I know pretty much everyone is still hurt. Brock Purdy still has that surgery for his throwing arm, and Trey Lance is still healing up on that leg injury. But not sure who will officially start for that team yet, because it's already going to be a thing of who's going to start first as they get closer. But I mean, other than that, they got Hargraves though from the Eagles.
Boo.
4 years,
We
84
wanted him.
million.
We wanted him.
Well, I don't know if we could pay 84 million for that man, or
Yeah.
I know it's not fully guaranteed, but like getting that kind of deal would have just took out all of our money just to get him.
I hate that the 49ers can do that kind of a deal, because it just feels like their entire defensive unit is like loaded with guys getting paid $20 million. But
Yeah, it's one of those things where they're just trying to keep that window alive. So again, I think at worst for our Seahawks, we're just going to at least be second in the NFC West, but that's still a playoff spot.
oh yeah.
So especially if we have a good record again, like we did this past season. But
Yeah.
man, let's talk about that last division rival, if you want to call them that. Now, I'm not saying they won't be tough when we face them, because I wish we can beat every one of these teams by like 40 points. But the Rams and the Jalen Ramsey trade to Miami, because what do they get for Jalen Ramsey?
It must
The
have been at
20,
least 2 first round picks, right?
right, because he was
He's
a multiple
first team all
all pro.
pro, he a pro bowler, 28 years old, still in his prime. You got to have been like a couple first round picks. What did they get?
Right, they got a third round pick in Hunter Long, tight end from Miami, who
Oh,
did
dude, I'm a
not play
big
much.
Hunter Long fan. Like he had that one catch 3 years ago.
Yes, he
Yeah.
did. And that one catch is what, that's what the Rams said. Ever since then, we've always wanted Hunter Long, and now he's
Yeah.
here for us
Wait, is
in
he a
the
wide
Hollywood.
receiver? Because if he is, they're just using that for the for the Cooper Cup distraction package.
Right,
That they're all the wide
basically.
receivers on one side.
But yeah, a third round pick for Jalen Ramsey. I think it's this year third round pick. So I don't. You got
This is
swindled.
this is what you call being bent over the barrel. Like you had no leverage.
None.
Everybody knew that the team needed to unload a guy like that was one of their biggest cap hits.
Yeah,
So
because if I remember correctly, you said, I think either you or someone else. I think it was you. You said like we were just like not obviously on a video, but like you were talking about Stafford not being able to throw unless it was last episode.
yeah, it might have been last episode even.
Yeah, because I've heard reports on Stafford not, having a hard time throwing and stuff, but that's just because of all the injuries this man has, like, added up on his list from the Detroit Lions. And at the very least, look, the Rams did what they could, and they did. They got a Super Bowl out of it. They're just going to be hurting for a good chunk of time, but at the very least, they got a ring. You
I
got you
mean,
got to give them that.
I just think of the Thanos with young Gamora like meme. Like, did you get what you wanted? Yes.
Yes, it's like a
What
Super
did
Bowl
it
trophy.
cost? Everything.
Oh man, yeah, man. It's I don't know. It's good to be a Rams fan, at the time when they won the Super Bowl, but man, I know it sucks for, like, I know those bandwagoners were just like, "Ooh, we got to go to another team cuz they can't even keep it up."
And that's where the Bills Mafia got big.
Oh man, Bills, don't even get me started on the Bills cuz I feel like their window is starting to close
Yeah.
personally.
You're
Um
starting to get those friction pieces, like
basically.
after we
But
saw Stephon Diggs and like Josh Allen get heated.
oh, facts, facts. Because other than that, that's all that we have right now around the division. 49ers got stronger. They're just a question mark on their quarterback because if Sam Darnold starts, I know he doesn't have to do much. It's literally just, hey, do those check downs, throw it, hand off. You don't need to be the hero because apparently the system that they had in place helped Brock Purdy. I'm not nothing against Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant himself. So
I mean, they made guys like Nick Mullen look really good, make Jimmy
yeah.
G look good. But I think, potential hot take. I think if Sam Darnold gets a good run of games, like say he gets like the first half of the season before any of the other guys are healthy again,
Mhm.
I think it'll build up his reputation to the point where he might get a starting job somewhere else for like another team.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be like on the level of Jimmy Garoppolo. He got a recent deal with another team, but like, uh, I don't think Darnold will get like a big 3 year deal with some team unless the only way he can do that is if he goes to playoffs and gets very close, if not at a Super Bowl, which that's a lot to ask of Darnold
Yeah,
right now.
it's a lot.
So a lot. But at the end of the day, though, the Rams are basically going to be the bottom barrel. I think Cardinals next, because they still at least have Kyler. He just won't be there for a good chunk of the season. I'm going to put us at second. This is very early, like just very early predictions. I'll put us at second for now. Of course, this can change after the draft coming up. And then, of course, like 49ers are still on top because I ain't going to lie to you.
That
Just
defense is
watching
scary.
both, yeah, that defense is scary when we were watching that game. So I hope that we can at least either sign a vet center at the very least. Haven't seen anything like that for us, but at the very least, defense. I know defense is important. We'll figure out center at some point, but why not move from out of the division into the league
Yeah,
if you
let's
want to
get
get that
around the
started?
league. Yeah, all right. I don't want to talk about this. We always got to talk about this because he makes headlines. Aaron Rodgers requested Jets go after a select group of free agents, a wish list, if you will. Do you want me to
Hmm.
go through the list of players he wants?
Sure.
All right. He wants Alan Lazard, who I believe the Jets went out and got,
Hmm.
4 years, 44 million. Randall Cobb, Mercedes Lewis,
Hmm.
Odell Beckham Jr. And I'm like, I think that's maybe more on there. There's maybe more on that list, but it sounds like this man just wants to get all his friends over on the Jets.
Hey, let's go to New York, y'all. Y'all want to go to New York? We've been in the country for a little bit, but
Well, it's cold over there too, but they got it's New York.
that's true.
He might as well ask for like David Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon to come along as well. Like that's what it sounds like he wants.
And if they already got Alan Lazard on a 4 year, $44 million deal, my only thing is then if they can get Odell Beckham, I think they would be in at least a good wide receiver core when healthy.
Yeah,
So
Garrett Wilson.
yeah, Garrett Wilson will be the wide receiver one for sure. Alan Lazard will be a good two, the deep threat that he is. I think that $11 million a year deal is really good for him because, of course, the wide receiver market got broken. So if everyone remembers that, other than that, I don't think there's much else from the Jets except they got the linebacker Quincy Williams, a 3 year, $18 million deal. And besides that, they got Chuck Clark in a trade.
Yeah,
And
that's a good move.
Greg the leg, they got him on a 1 year. The kicker, they got him on a 1 year, up to $3.5 million deal. I just had to say that because I love Greg the leg,
Greg the Legatron.
Legatron, if you will. But yeah,
Yeah, but
hopefully, I
Chuck.
don't know. Do you think the Jets are going to get the rest of that list for him or what?
Dude, that's a. I mean, well, Randall Cobb, I don't think there's much of a market for. Mercedes Lewis, I don't think there's much of a market for. The only
It's
one on
still
that list.
is Mercedes Lewis still out? Like, I mean, obviously he's still out here playing, but like, was he on a team this past season? Because I haven't heard
That's a great
much.
question. Moving on, Odell Beckham Jr. is probably.
Oh, that's a good one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, I don't really know. He obviously was a very solid tight end for Packers for a number of years, and
Yeah.
he was kind
Yeah.
of like a safety blanket for Aaron Rodgers. So that's probably why he wants him. But Odell Beckham Jr. is the only name on that list that has a question mark. And man, that man loves making a show. The only man that can compete with Aaron Rodgers about making a show about where he's going. Because we all remember what the Cowboys did. They rolled out Texas for him. Like, hey, we can here's your own farm. Like, here's a cowboy hat. Like, you're
I
one of us
really,
now.
he really wants to be. I know he really wants to be in LA just because of like the potential for like Hollywood stuff and all that.
The
If he
brand.
wants, yeah, his brand, if you will. But I don't know. I mean, he definitely had like video. There's a video of him out, obviously doing the one-handed catch, which is it's still crispy, by the way. Like he's still really good. It's just the only thing is the whole concerns of his injuries. Although he's been a year out without playing,
Yeah,
so that does really
he
good
should
for
be coming
him.
back really fresh.
Yeah, as fresh
It's
as he
just
can be, if you
yeah,
will.
but it's just what can he be is the question, right?
I just don't want. I hate seeing Odell Beckham. Overall, like he'll come back, he has a great chunk of the season, and then at some point goes down. Knock on wood, goes down with a leg injury. Especially like he went down the leg injury at the Super Bowl of all times to go down
Yeah,
with a leg injury, bro.
and
But
but he still got a ring from that Super Bowl. But
he did.
I think if you're looking at it from that perspective, I mean, they already went out and got Alan Lazard. Garrett
Yeah,
Wilson is there. Odell would just be the third receiver in
mhm.
that because
Their,
you know
their Jets' current core, receiver core, isn't all that great, if you
no, I
will.
think
So
they got rid of a couple pieces. I think they let go
yeah,
of Braxton Berrios and like
yes.
some of those guys. But Garrett Wilson was obviously the guy for them.
Oh, he was so good he was
Yeah,
so good for that team. It was almost just like I wish we had a third receiver like that too. Unfortunately, hopefully for this
we'll
draft we
see.
can get one, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
you never know because we got how many picks we got in this upcoming draft? We got like 9 picks, right?
9. It should
Yeah,
be
so
9.
we got some space to work with once we get into like the third and fourth round.
Anything else from other teams then?
Yeah, let's moving on. We got Commanders were making moves. So
Yeah.
let me just rattle through the list because they've made a good number of moves. I mean, we mentioned Cody Barton before.
Mhm.
Linebacker Quincy, or sorry, defensive tackle Darren Payne, 4 years,
That's the
90
big
million.
one.
That's the
That
biggest one.
Because
They
people were waiting for him to be a free agent because it was like, "Oh, go get Darren Payne,"
You were waiting for that too. You love that. You love the way he played.
Bro, if he came out, I would have
I,
told the
yeah,
Seahawks to pay that man.
we really just wanted some studs on our defensive line.
He would have been the stud. Like
I could say that about any name. Defensive tackle, what did he get paid? 4 years, 80 million. Oh, I wanted him. What's his name? Yeah, I know who he is. I've been following him since high school.
ever since he was a little kid, I've been
I
there
went to
watching
his
him.
Pop Warner games.
Yep, his flag football, like they don't tackle there, but that's besides the point. He was
Damn.
actually.
Yeah, and
But
so that was
yeah,
the big one. They retained him, so he's not going to hit the free agency market. The
hmm
Commanders retain like a key piece of their defensive line, along with Montez Sweat and with
oh
Chase Young.
yeah, Chase Young, and then I think they also got the tackle Andrew Wiley, 3 years, 24 mil. So they
Yeah,
at
that's
least
a
solidified some part of the O line, right?
no. I think yeah, they also added Nick Gates on a 3-year deal as well. But I think we could say that the biggest addition they made to this team was a subtraction, and that would be one Carson Wentz no longer being on the team.
I mean, people out there are talking about this man, but they don't understand what Carson Wentz does for a particular NFL team. Like people,
Lose. That's what he does
I don't know what. No, not lose. He's a winner. You know what I'm saying?
for the
He,
other team. Come on, man. I
you,
got I can do this all day.
when he went against the Jags with the Colts, and he actually let the
Yeah.
all on his. Hey, he's a hero for the other team,
People
if you
always
will.
people or the common theme nowadays is you gotta look out for players' mental health, which you obviously have to do. But Carson Wentz has just done daylight robbery for the last like 3 years on
I
NFL
mean,
teams, so
I would
I don't
love to get
no
I would
sympathy.
love to get the money that he be making and getting. I can get fired at the end of the season, but this
I
money I
wish,
made.
yeah, I wish I could be. I mean, I do get paid for being bad at my job, but like not to the level that he gets paid for being bad at his job.
And at the end of the day, what are we not? We are not fired coaches. Head coaches is for the NFL.
Those are the best ones.
The best. Like you'll see me. It's like Adam Burns on the, he's new head coach of, X team. He has like a 3 year guaranteed deal of like 60 million. Gets fired after like a few games.
I'd say one last thing before we move on from Commanders.
Hmm.
They like we know that Taylor Heineke is no longer on the team. Carson
Yes.
Wentz is no longer on the team. They essentially have no quarterback besides I can't remember his name, the North Carolina guy. He kind of
Um.
Sam Howell, I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's his name.
I forgot about Sam Howell because they did at least let him play a good chunk of the season.
And he was like
And
he was solid-ish. He didn't light the house on fire, but he didn't also light
I
any
would just I would
fireworks.
just support him for now and just see what happens because they're not high enough to get a quarterback
My
from my
question is,
recollection.
do they make a move to get high enough to get a quarterback?
How where are they at?
They're at I think 16 or 17 or something
Good luck.
somewhere in there.
Good
So
luck.
they would have to trade a pretty package to a team that would want to trade with them, which would probably be us or Cardinals, who are at 3.
I think there's only one team, maybe two at most, that will try to do those big trades. The Panthers already took one slot. I
Hey,
don't know.
we already know that the Commanders are kind of a dumpster fire of an organization.
That's very true, and they still got that same owner over there. So who knows how they're gonna like handle anything, even if it was a taste of success, if you will. Either way, Darren Payne and Andrew Weiler, they're too big, like to keep them away from free agency. So, I mean, they at least stay. They have a solid core. They just need to take that next step, which I feel like everyone's not everyone, but anybody that is a Commanders fan, they've been waiting for that next big step for a long time,
Yeah,
and they're still waiting to this day.
yeah. I mean, they. If I were them, I would say that they're more of a team that is just ready for an injection of a good quarterback. With other offensive pieces that they have. Um,
A couple
you
more,
know,
like get some more trench players on the O line, I believe, and maybe one
like
more
Andrew Wiley,
skill
like you said,
person.
he was I think I don't know if he started for the Chiefs or if he was a rotational piece, but he's a name they brought in,
Hmm.
and Nick Gates on a 3-year deal as well. So they're doing the right things to solidify a team before a quarterback comes in. But
They're going to
they're on
probably
the tip,
draft a receiver, in my opinion. At that, where their pick is, that they're probably going to draft weapons or skill players, if you will, at that point.
and then try to draft a quarterback, or hope that Sam
I'm
Howell.
hey, if I would at least give Sam Howell a good year because he really hasn't played a full season. I would give
Yeah,
him at least a year, maybe two. He deserves at least a
he
2 year
deserves he,
look.
he deserves it a lot more than Carson Wentz deserved
Oh, for
his.
sure. There's no ifs ands or buts. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna stop lying. There was a thing on Carson Wentz where like he was talking with his agents and they were like he's still trying to play in the league. I'm like, sure, as a backup maybe
Yeah.
at this
Well,
point.
what league? Madden?
CFL, there's also overseas league, and then the XFL is still is in session, so
They're
he could
playing right
just
now. The Seattle Sea Dragons got Josh Gordon's on there, baby.
yeah. We definitely gotta oh man, because I was thinking about the XFL and especially the USFL too coming up. So I was just
Yeah.
like sitting here like we got to cover. I feel like we got to cover a little bit of that, if not at least the Seattle Sea Dragons, but because they're having a good time. But yeah, Commanders, they at least retained and signed some depth on the O line and the D line and a little bit of the front seven. So, let's see if they make some moves in the draft. That's all they got left, unless they have more money.
Well, who knows with Dan Snyder? But anyway, moving on. Steelers. Next one up, we got.
Oh
They made a
man.
few moves as well,
Oh yeah, they
but
did.
I'll rattle them off. But you got some thoughts. I know you have some
I
thoughts.
do. I do. Go
All right,
ahead.
they went and got Nate Herbig, 2 years, 8 million guard.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty standard free agency deal.
Got to protect your young QB. Understandable.
Defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi,
Yeah,
3 years,
Ogunjobi. Mm-hmm.
3 years, 21.75 million. So another rotational key piece.
He's solid. He's a solid D tackle as well. But
And
man,
then and
talk
then
about him.
the piece that you want to talk about, Patrick Peterson, formerly of the Cardinals and formerly of the Vikings, most recently
Mm-hmm.
signed with the Steelers, 2 years, $14 million deal.
Which is what he actually wanted. He wanted, I guess, I think he only has like these last 2 seasons left. But the reason why I want to talk about him is just because he appeared on Adam Schefter's podcast. And the short of it was, he was like, I'm just trying to get with a team that's going to get me a ring. I want that jewelry. His words, I want that jewelry. And I was like, okay, I wonder who's going to want Patrick Peterson. Cause, I haven't really heard of teams like, watering at the mouth for Patrick Peterson. Cause, he's just an older vet corner that like, he needs to stay on one side at this point in his career, basically. It
That
was
would be
the
the
Steelers,
sideline.
and then he was with the Steelers, and I'm just like, I don't know if Kenny Pickett's going to get you to a Super Bowl unless like they have like a great unless they have like a big free agency period coming up next year or something, or like their draft is just that good.
Yeah,
So I don't know about that one.
I feel like it's just kind of been like it's just been Patrick Peterson. That's his personality. He's always been the big talker type as well. That's he kind of he's in that same generation like with Sherman and like those guys. They were the
Good
big
times.
talkers. So you take it with a grain of salt, but it just kind of sounds sad when it comes out of him like that. Like,
It's just when I saw he went to the Steelers, I was like, I mean, Steelers are like a solid average, if not slightly above average, because they at least they have winning seasons back to back to back to
Mike
back.
Tomlin's
Like
never had a losing season,
facts, and he's been there for like 16 years, 15
something
years
like that.
now.
Yeah.
So he's in his 60s. Like you can't really tell. Black don't
Actually, I don't
crack.
think he even think he's in the 60s. I
He's in
think
his
he's still.
60s.
You sure?
I late 50s, early 60s. I promise you. Go ahead. Fact check.
51.
Fact check me. 51.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
still
was like.
that's
He didn't look that old. Come on.
even still 51. Some people thought he was younger though, and then it's like
Yeah, it's just he's just been
that
around.
big. As long as he's been in the league, he had Big Ben, screw Big Ben. He had Big Ben and everything like
Yeah,
that. So always every season's a winning season. Even I think it was this past season, the season before, where people were like, "This is going to be the first losing season." Psych, nine and
psych.
seven,
Yeah,
or 9-8, excuse me.
it's kind of crazy because when he first started, he was only like 38. If you think
Hmm.
about it, if he's been coaching them for that long, so he was a young coach, and the fact that he's been able to stick around so long for an organization that has been historically really successful, going back to like the 70s and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
they got high expectations and he's been around for a long time. So that's always, commendable. But moving on for
Hmm.
next team up, we got Patriots tight end. They haven't signed, they've signed a moderate amount. They've signed tight end Josh Oliver. Actually, we might need to fact check that one. I thought Josh Oliver went to the Vikings, but um,
I can fact checked. Go ahead.
the next one up, we had defensive end Marcus Davenport. I think he was from the Saints, right?
Actually, hold up one second. Let me see. Double check this one because that's wrong. Because
Oh, I think these are all the
these are
Vikings
wrong.
ones.
Yeah, that's the Vikings ones.
Yeah, okay. There we go. That makes more sense
I
now.
will
Okay.
take that one and bada bing, bada boom. There we go.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there we go.
Gotcha.
So that's the one we were looking for. I thought we had that somewhere. Maybe things just got.
I'll take that one.
Everyone listening gets a little behind the scenes. There's just so much going on that we have like a whole list of all the moves that are happening. We're just trying to keep them organized. But Patriots, they did a typical Patriots off season so far. They've re-signed Jonathan Jones, 2 years,
Hmm.
$20 million deal.
Yeah.
That's the main notable thing. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean that's a solid enough move for the Patriots organization, isn't it?
Yeah. Just hold it down at corner. I mean, that's not much else though. A guard and a tackle.
Yeah, but the team that did it a lot bigger, Falcons have been kind of going off in this free
Talk
agency.
about him, man. Talk about him.
I mean, I can rattle through. I'll let you name off some of the players that you think are the most noteworthy. I'll
Yeah.
let you start with you got to give your O line love. Let's start with Chris
Of
Lindstrom.
course. Chris Lindstrom, highest paid offensive guard in the league with a 5 year. So they basically re-signed him to a 5 year, $105 million deal. 63 million of it is guaranteed. Um, he was a solid guard for them. I'm just gonna be frank with you. That's like you got to keep that talent around. You can't let offensive linemen go. It is hard to build a line. I think we all know about that, especially with the Seahawks. So glad they got that one done. I think another one is Jesse Bates, the third from the Bengals, safety, 4 years, 64 point, it was about 64 million dollars. So, and then finally David Onyemata I believe from the Saints, 3 years, 35 million, 24.5 of it is guaranteed. Then they got Jonnu Smith from the Patriots in a trade,
Yeah,
and
see,
they have other ones, like I think we talked about Taylor Heineke as well. 2 years, 20 million. So I at the very least, if Desmond Ritter doesn't work out, you still got Taylor Heineke. So they at least have a backup plan. So
this is a pretty kind of like a. I love these kind of moves from a team during free agency because they're doing is they're filling in a lot of quality players at just across the depth chart. And what that does is that it'll give competition for the players that are already there because let's admit it, Falcons, you didn't do so hot last season. I mean, I don't think anybody that's a hot take, but
They were kind of at that one. They actually
they
had a
could have made it to the
chance.
playoffs, but that's because the NFC South
Yeah,
was garbage. But um,
can't say
the
they were bad. But, I mean, hey, didn't we lose to them though?
we did lose. Why do you got to say things like that?
Gotta hey, someone's got to at least we got to at least be realistic just
We
to
got
an
to keep it
extent,
100.
Yeah,
we, we
keep it
we lost an
100.
entire garbage ass division, but that's besides the point. But um, they're adding a lot of quality players across the depth chart, and that with the draft coming up as well, they're gonna be a quality team, and they're just taking the right steps moving forward to build a like a strong foundation for that team. So like, hey, if Desmond Ritter doesn't work out, next year they'll probably give him the reins for the full season.
Hmm.
If it doesn't work out, then you can move on. Like but you'll still have like solid pieces. You're not completely invested into Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I mean, they even signed two linebackers. I just realized they signed two linebackers, Lorenzo Carter and Caden Ellis. So I feel like with this free agency haul and trades, with like Johnu Smith there, to have someone paired, I forgot what their tight end.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitt. Because I feel like one, Kyle Pitts got misused. I need him to be that vertical receiver he needs to be for them. But if anything, take this free agency class they have so far. If they have a solid draft, I think they're going to be competitive. Like I said, because they even had a chance to win each and every one of them had a chance. They were basically all competitive in their own sense for their division. That is, but yeah, I think the Falcons have a chance. It's basically just, hey, Desmond, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're starting a full season, my guy. So,
Yeah, I mean, the ball is kind of like in his hands at this point. That's what they're starting to build up towards because they got weapons for him too, like Drake
and didn't
London's
they change
obviously.
coaching staff a little bit too, or did they still have this?
I still
They're
think it's Arthur
retained.
Smith.
Okay, okay. So
Oh,
hopefully, they
I think
don't.
Arthur Smith was like a rookie coach,
Okay,
like
okay,
or not a rookie coach, but he was a first year coach either last year or the year before. He's a relatively new coach for them.
gotcha. So other than that, I think they're going to be competitive, but they just got to bring it all together with the draft at this point.
Yeah, and so it's a you have like you have a lot of hope if you're a Falcons fan. In that same division, Saints,
Hmm.
they've been making a few moves as well. I mean, we already knew about the Derek Carr move. It hasn't been made official yet, but it's sort of been made official. But
Tomorrow, everything will be official tomorrow
it's
on the
also like
Wednesday.
it's like also one of the most like cash strapped teams. So they've been making some other moves, like what Michael Thomas, a guy who we thought would never talk
Yeah.
to the Saints organization again, restructured his deal. He's on a 1 year, $10 million deal.
I think that they did other restructures too. They also restructured who was their defensive end? Um
Oh, Cam Jordan or
yeah, I think they restructured like him, Michael Thomas, and I think they restructured one more and they got like 30 something million in caps. Basically they restructured a lot of deals to like pay uh pay a signing bonus out so that they can like get some cap space back because they were in the red. We talked about
not
that
just in the
before.
red, they were bleeding. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, so they just like edged out like over zero. They're probably like at like a few million if anything, but
Mm.
yeah. They also got Jameis Winston back. You know,
Yay!
yay!
Nailed
They need a backup. They need a
accuracy.
backup though because I mean, whatchamacallit ain't gonna really be. He's a gadget player. Taysom Hill, he's a gadget player, but I don't think he's like the true quarterback to even be a backup. You can bring
Yeah,
him in, on random moments, but I think they're gonna actually try to like keep one quarterback in the game at all times. Please and thank you.
yeah. Um, Other than that, I think not much else has happened with the Saints so far, but you can look to see them make more moves as they kind of eke closer and closer to under the cap because I still think they got a little bit ways to go. Moving on, Cowboys. We hate to talk about him. We already talked about how Tony Pollard got franchise tagged. They signed Donovan Wilson to a 3 year, $24 million deal, safety.
Hmm.
Good move for them. But the move that we really wanted to talk about, Stephon Gilmore traded to the Cowboys for a fifth round pick, I
Fifth
believe.
round. Hmm. Yeah, from the
Um,
Colts, and he's a solid corner. He's a vet, so you at least keep, at least as long as you keep him to his one side that he loves, and hopefully have support.
yeah,
Because I don't know if they lost anyone to free agency as of yet, but I think we would have
I
heard.
think they
But
lost. I think they lost like one of their the other corner. I can't remember his name, but
ah,
they still got Trevon Diggs.
yeah,
That's their main guy. But under Dan Quinn defense, a team that has a strong front seven, probably a good move. I mean,
You know,
if he can keep up with the speedier receivers, but having that strong front seven will obviously help your secondary, and your secondary will obviously help your front seven. They just feed off each other.
and at the end of the day, the Cowboys will find some way to disappoint you. Moving on.
That is, moving on. No, I ain't gonna add anything on top of that. Buffalo Bills. They've
uh,
been doing a little bit, not a lot, right? You want to
I mean,
rattle off the
Matt
through
Milano, 2 year extension. Tyler Matakovich. Matakovich. I know I butchered that last name. Sorry, Tyler. 2 years for him. A 3 year deal for up to 7.5 million for their punter Sam Martin, and like the biggest one for them is just the guard Connor McGovern. 3 years, 23 million. So retain. I think he was already on. I think he was on the team
yeah,
already.
I
Yeah.
think
So
he
they're just
was.
retaining him. You got to do something, but I know they don't have all the cash in the world, but they just need to go out and win a Super Bowl because, like I said earlier, their Super Bowl window is like starting to close. If not, if it hasn't already started, I think it started to close like beginning of this season. If they didn't get in, they had these past 2 seasons, didn't do it. So I think they have like 1 or 2 more seasons left, and then it's like you got to start cutting people. So
Yeah, and then it gets a little bit harder, and we can already see there's a little bit of friction. I mean, the off season can heal all wounds, but there's a little bit of friction between Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, at least at the end of playoffs last year. But that could have just been a heat of the moment thing. But you can also read into it as being like a, something, looking behind the curtain and seeing what's going on. There
mhm.
might be some frustrations there as well because this team had lofty expectations, and it was hyped up to be,
I was
the best
hyping them up
team.
a little bit this
Yeah,
past season. I was like, the Bills are they're hungry. They're still tight about that Chiefs loss and all that stuff, right? But then it's like they lost again. And it's like,
yeah.
damn.
And so
Von Miller, you were saying it. Von Miller was like a key to their defense. They lost Von Miller. That defense changed up.
no, the
So
fact that that defense relied on, a 35, 36-year-old Von Miller to be like a key rotational piece kind of shows like where that defense was actually the entire season. But other than other than that, you can look to the Bills to make more moves as well. Panthers, we kind of skipped over them when we were talking about the NFC South, but they've done a few moves themselves. I
mhm.
can just rattle through them. I don't have too many thoughts on the Panthers at least, but Shy Tuttle, I think he was from New Orleans, 3 years, $19.5 million deal. He's a solid defensive tackle. He's a good rotational piece.
Pretty
The
shy, I heard.
Yeah, and the biggest the biggest shut up. The I think the more notable move, Von Bell, who was
Wasn't he
he
with
was
the Bengals? Or not the Bengals, or was he already on there? I forget. I know Von Bell though. But go
yeah,
ahead.
Von Bell. That's what I was actually just thinking. Was he on the Bengals or was he on the
I could double
Saints?
check. Go ahead and
Yeah.
continue.
Signed a 3 year, $22.5 million deal with the Panthers. Another solid, I think, a solid move for that defense. They've got talent kind of all up and down now.
Hmm.
I
It
can't
was
remember.
Bengals, by the way. He was alongside of Jesse over there. So that was like part of their safety duo. So basically, like Bengals pretty much like lost all of those free agent pickups they did for that one Super Bowl run they did. So
Yeah, and so team is solidifying obviously on defense, and they got a quarterback coming in, so they should.
I mean, that's the big thing about the Panthers. They have the number one overall pick. They did all of that. They traded their number one wide receiver, by the way, which it's very questionable. Like, I think the only thing I have to say is like if I was the Panthers and you have a team like the Bears asking me for like, 2 first rounds, I think it was 2 first, 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 first, 2 seconds, and my number one wide receiver that I know I need for like my quarterback coming in. Because when you have a quarterback with no receivers, which is what's about to happen to either CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, um, yeah, it's going to be a tough season for you. But yeah, I don't know. I would have called some. I would have put down the phone, say we'll get back to you, and I would have just talked to another team because that's wild. I'll go talk to the Texans if no Texans wouldn't want to trade down. So it would have been Cardinals next. I would have just went to the Cardinals at that
oh
point.
yeah. And I guess the equivalent would be like, I was saying like, do the Commanders trade up? It'd be like the equivalent of the Commanders trading away Terry McLaurin so that they can go draft a
I
quarterback.
mean, if they want to give it to us, we don't mind.
I wouldn't mind Terry McLaurin.
We'll
Scary
have
Terry.
a scary Terry. They're not going to do that though, but that would
No.
be so awesome if they did. But I mean, hey, Seattle, we got that. We got that fifth round, the fifth overall pick. So team's gonna basically just talk to the Cardinals first, then us. But hey,
Yeah.
up in the air.
Yeah. And so, other than that, I don't think much of the Carolina Panthers, but team that we do want to talk about, Chicago Bears. They got almost $100 million in cap space that they've slowly started whittling away. You want
Hmm.
to go through all these ones?
Yeah, I got you. So we have their biggest signee was linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, 26 years old. He came off of the Bills, um, which basically the Bills couldn't retain him. I know he was basically asking for a big contract, which was 4 years, 72 million. Which I'm not sure if he's the highest paid linebacker on like currently right now. He might be. I mean, they had the money like Bears. We didn't say it last in the last episode, but the Bears had 90 million in caps. I don't know if it was free agency spending or just like 90 million in cap space. So I was just like, wow, that's a lot of money. So that
That's
I knew
many
they can make
dollars.
a yeah many 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 dollars I'll never see in my lifetime.
When
They
when they
also
when they
got
when they
uh
signed Tremaine Edmonds to that deal, though, I'm just thinking to myself, like, what was the reason behind them moving on from Roquan Smith at that point? Because if the money was
I don't.
available,
Well, I mean, because again, that's right. Because they signed Tremaine Edmonds, and the other linebacker they got was T.J. Edwards, 3 years, 19.5 million. But like the cap hit those two bring, you could have just paid Roquan Smith instead.
yeah,
But like you said, I don't know. It could have been stuff behind the scenes. It could have just been like Roquan's like, I want to go somewhere else. I don't. He was watching the Bears just continuously losing, so he was just like, hey, I want to go. So regardless, I think there's still love between him and players on the team and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, he, I don't know why they didn't just retain Roquan Smith, who was All Pro, but it is what it is. Some other names was just, of course, everyone knows DJ Moore, so he's a new wide receiver from the big trade, and Nate Davis, guard, 3 years, 30 million, and I think they also signed a fullback and then Demarcus Walker, a defensive end. So
yeah.
far,
I
they
mean,
still got money.
pretty solid roster building. You would hope that they invest more in the trenches on the offensive and defensive side moving forward.
Yeah, they
But
definitely well, at least they got a guard. They got one guard so far. They probably are definitely gonna. I think
they're
they're
gonna
still
need to
gonna
get a
go for a
tackle or
tackle.
two.
They're going to tackle with their pick. I already know it, but
Yeah,
they definitely need to. Whatever. I think if they get like one more, maybe one more offensive lineman, maybe like on the right side, like a guard or a tackle, I think they'll be good. So
yeah. I mean, the free agency actually hasn't even started yet, so we'll see what. Because like we said, they got
oh,
almost $100 million to
y'all
spend.
might even see us tomorrow on the tubes. Who knows? It depends on what happens tomorrow.
It has if it's something like spectacular. You'll catch it breaking on our YouTube. We'll get you guys. But oh, this is actually a major one too because Chiefs, a lot of O line turnover coming in after that Super Bowl run. A lot of people credit that Super Bowl win with how well that offensive line played. Pitched a shutout.
They're
No
just all
sacks,
just gonna go get their money at this point. So
which more power to him. Orlando Brown Jr. left tackle. They were the teams were the team and the player were in negotiations to sign him longer term, but I think those negotiations went bad, so the Chiefs are no longer going to pursue him, and he's
no
going to be
one
open.
signed Orlando Brown Jr. yet because I think he's just trying to get the big money, which is
Bears.
going to be okay. Yeah, yeah, I can see it. If the Bears want to just go like all in, I mean, they can solidify that line then, right? Because then they got
Really
to just
quick.
go find really quick.
He's a left tackle, so he's the kind of player that would get that big second contract.
Andrew
Eh,
White, I think, was a right tackle for them, so that's probably why his is a little bit lower, on the team he's on now. But then, of course, you want to talk about that big signing they did.
Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle, I think left tackle from Jacksonville, 4 years, $80 million, and so two out the door, one back in.
And they still need another tackle.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything else from the Chiefs because I thought you would think some other people would leave, but nothing
yeah.
so
I
far.
mean, they've let certain people walk. Like I think Juju has walked and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's one to keep an eye on to see what the Chiefs do to kind of continue on their run. Because the last team that no one wants to be like the Rams. They don't even make the playoffs a year following their Super Bowl win.
Yeah. I want to actually just let me just jut in right here. I do want to talk about 'cause I don't know if we have them on our script, but let me double check myself before I just like crash everything. But yeah, the Eagles real quick because they made some moves as well. It was not many. They only have I think they signed a total of 4 players. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so they got Brandon Graham, defensive end, 1 year, 6 mil. Boston Scott, 2 year, 2 mil. So he's staying. I think they let Miles Sanders go. Miles Sanders is out. He's going to go somewhere else. And then finally, their one big contract was with James Bradbury, 3 years, 38 million. Glad to see a vet actually, staying on the team he went to.
Yeah.
Especially he went from like I think divisional rivals, and now
Yep.
he's getting paid by the other team. Which I know the Eagles are actually famous for like getting all those players somehow and just doing something with them. And then finally, Rashad Penny. He's we talked about him, but we don't know his deal yet. It's to be determined. But I think it's a 1 year. Mostly, it's going to be a 1 year deal of some kind because it just says TBD from where I'm looking right now. But yeah, they got a rotational running back room. Running back committee,
Yeah,
if you
and
will.
that's what gave him a lot of success last year too. That and the AJ Brown go route, but um, those are good things to touch on. That's actually a good catch. I don't. Yeah, we don't have it on our script. I was just like looking to
It's
see
all
if
good
that's
because it
not.
was quick because they only had four, and I think they're just trying to retain more so, and then maybe like if they have to get like cheap deals getting in because I think they're just trying to keep that Super Bowl window open as
Yeah,
wide as possible.
yeah, for sure. We talked about this deal on the Ram side of things, but let's talk about it on the Miami side of things, and we'll
Oh,
go into other deals that
I'll let
Miami
you take
made.
the Miami side because I already said enough for the Rams.
Oh man, Jalen Ramsey to the to the Dolphins. Fantastic move, I think, for the Dolphins organization, at least on their defense. They've done a lot of moves. Bradley Chubb, and they also have Xavier Howard on the other side.
Hmm.
So they're Jalen Ramsey still in his prime. He got a 2 year deal. I think 18 to 20 million a year, maybe more each year. I don't. I think he was fully guaranteed. I think that was part of his deal was that the remaining two
Oh, they
years on
actually
his.
gave him a. I didn't hear about a deal yet, unless that just recently come out.
You could fact check me on that one, but
Okay.
I think they guarantee the remaining 2 years on his contract. I think that was part of the
Ah.
deal, and so that
Okay.
would be the
Okay.
20 and
Never mind.
20.
I forgot because he had 2 more years. That's
Yeah,
right.
and because he's a 28-year-old corner that's only apparently worth a third round pick, but um, for the Dolphins organization itself, they've brought in Vic Fangio, and Vic Fangio has a lot of reputation for running good defensive units and solid defensive units. Probably a home run for them in terms of being able to lock down one side of the field with Jalen
Yeah, they
with
fleeced
one
the
player.
Rams for that one.
Oh yeah, it's almost as bad as the Bears fleeced the
No,
Panthers.
is it almost as bad as the Houston Texans trading off all their people when
We don't want.
Bob was there?
Oh man, we don't want to talk about Bill O'Brien, but he is now the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. We forgot to mention that, but
Oh yeah.
or we forgot to acknowledge that, but yeah. Anyway, but like for the Miami organization, this is a fantastic move, man. Like I have nothing else to say about it. Like I think that front seven is going to thrive a lot because Jalen Ramsey has the ability to lock down a receiver for extended periods of time, and
Hmm.
I think it's just going to benefit the entire defensive unit.
Yeah, I think the only other signings they had was just Mike White. They got Mike White from the Jets. That's a
Yeah,
solid backup. They do need a solid backup though, because we don't
we
we
don't know
don't
what's
know.
going to happen with Tua.
Yeah, with Tua, and I'm not saying he's gonna all of a sudden have the CTE symptoms all of a sudden just come out right now, but you just don't know. Like if he goes down again, knock on wood, at least they have Mike White. Mike White has shown that he can actually lead a team to victories, when supported and stuff like that. I think they only just picked up a couple of linebackers, notably like David Long, uh, Junior, I believe. They got him for 2 years, 11 mil, and then they re-signed both. I think they re-signed
Yeah,
most of their running back core and Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. Both of them got 2 year deals, less than 10 mil a piece. But I mean, hey, they're just trying to retain, and
yeah,
then obviously they're trying to build up that defense, as you can see. And I got the contract for Jalen Ramsey, so he signed if I see if I yeah signed a 3 year $55 million contract with the Dolphins, including an 8.8 signing bonus. 35.5 of it is guaranteed, average annual salary of like 18.3 million. So the man got his money. I mean, I think even when he was in Jacksonville, he was definitely making his money too. Because I still remember he came in. Yeah, it was Jalen Ramsey that came in on a bank, the bank van and stuff like that after he got paid. So that was pretty funny. But Miami again, we're gonna see if Miami can actually put it together instead of fizzling out in the second half of the season, though. So
I just can't believe they got one of like a top three, top five corner for just a third round pick. That just
I
sounds
would
this
have
is
I
wild
would
to
have
me.
traded for him. I don't care if it's entered. They wouldn't traded us,
They
but
wouldn't trade with us.
I'm just saying, man. Like third round for that man, I would have easily. You telling me a third round, I can turn that into a Jalen Ramsey? Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
okay.
That's a. That's all. That's all you can. That's all you can really say. Speaking of Bengals, they've done a couple moves, but not much of a big deal. I don't really have much of an opinion on these ones. Do you want to rattle
Jermaine
through them?
Pratt, linebacker, 3 years, 21 million, and they signed Michael Thomas, the safety, Michael Thomas, for a year, and that's about it because they just gotta. I don't know if I think their window is like I feel like it's this upcoming year because I know Burrow has a contract extension looming, so it's really like this is the year or else. But I don't think they had a lot of money to like just pour into again like they did before. So
Yeah.
they had a chance. They had a chance.
And then next up, we had Browns. They're not meh like the Bengals. They did sign defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson to a 4-year, $57 million deal, which is a pretty good move. I think that's a pretty solid move as an anchor for their defensive line.
If
Um,
only their offense can be the same,
if only their offense could be the same. Well, who knows what they'll get out of Deshaun Watson, because that's the thing everybody's keeping their eye on, because you know how haters work. Everybody's waiting for that
He's
to.
getting paid. He got a fully guaranteed contract with them, so it's a
Yeah,
230 million fully guaranteed or $235 million fully guaranteed contract. So I mean, hey, this man, whether win or lose, he getting paid 230 million.
yeah. And so if you're a Browns fan, you're kind of holding your breath, because there's a lot invested in him being successful. So hopefully he can maybe turn things around on their offensive side. But they're making moves.
Offensively, they definitely signed like the best center ever in Ethan Posick.
Oh
For
yeah,
some for some of you
good old
people
Ethan
out there, you'll
Pocic.
you'll know this man right here. 3 years, 18 mil, and they also signed another defensive end, Obo Okoronkwo, for 3 years, 19. So that's like their three big signings besides a linebacker. But I don't know. Browns is weird because they became forgettable for a good chunk of that season, especially after Deshaun Watson came back. So I wasn't even
Mhm.
like going out to watch him either. I was just like, oh, Browns are just losing.
Yeah, but a team that we did like watching, Detroit Lions.
There you go.
They've made some moves. Notably, the move that's kind of been making waves, Cam Sutton, cornerback for the formerly cornerback for Pittsburgh Steelers,
hmm
signs with Detroit, 3 years, $33 million. I think Cam Sutton's a solid player for them.
Yeah, because I forgot their corner. I forgot his name, but they drafted him a first. They have a first round corner that they drafted, but
Yeah, let me go look it
he's
up because I'm trying to think about it too.
yeah, but he hasn't been that first round corner that they needed. So I can see why they went out. Um, you know, they went out and got like who they got for their cornerback. So I don't know. I'm trying to remember what else. They definitely need to probably like consider a quarterback at some point, at least late rounds. I'm not saying they need to. They should. They're going all in on Jared Goff. But if they could just continue that streak they had the second half of the season, they bring that into here. I mean, who knows? Like the world, they may even like hit a playoff appearance. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers gets traded, that division kind of is like it's a little bit of a different tilt. But because we don't know what we're gonna get with Lions again, or with Bears, and
It
then
was
there's
Jeff
Vikings.
Okuda, by the way. Jeff
Jeff
Okuda
Okuda was what I was about to
from
say.
Ohio
Yeah,
State.
yeah. So they drafted him right pretty
Yeah,
recently,
yeah.
and
It
so
was
Jeff Okuda and Jerry Jacobs, and I imagine Jerry Jacobs is probably going to lose his spot to.
Oh, of
Uh,
course he is. Come on now.
yeah,
You're going to put Cam Sutton in there. So my thing is they're basically just trying to I mean, one of the issues they had was definitely when teams were throwing the ball on them. So they lost I think a couple of tight games for that. So they're just basically solidifying that aspect and then just we'll see what happens. There's nothing else except for can they keep that magic happening in Detroit at
yeah.
this
They just
point?
got to keep the good vibes going. Oh, and they also did sign another corner, Emmanuel Mosley, to a 1 year, $6 million deal, but it's more of a rotational piece. But I think that everybody just wants the feel good story of the Lions to keep rolling from last year, because like we always talk about how a lot of teams played two separate halves of the season. They were a team that were terrible in the first half. They lost to us, and that's part of the reason why they didn't make it to the playoffs. And
And they just
but
re-signed Alex Anzalone too at linebacker, 3 years, 18.8.
yeah,
So I'm glad they're just retaining their talent. I don't
they
know
got
what else,
Hayden.
man. They just gotta be solid. They gotta go in and just win games at this point. So
Yeah, and they got Aiden Hutchinson and Houston as the other linebacker too. They got a lot of things going good
Houston's
for
their
them.
edge. They have two edges. They just
Yeah,
they have those two edges. It's like
yeah.
they can lead
Listed
in
as a
sacks again.
linebacker, he's like an outside linebacker, but he probably lines up on the line of scrimmage as well.
A lot. Yeah, he's more of a on the hands down linebacker. So
Yeah,
I mean, again, they got like I said, they can just they have the deal, they have the front. They're just trying to get the back now, so that like at this point, win games. If they can make a
Yeah.
playoff appearance, I think they at least got expectations.
Oh yeah. I think if they, I mean, I think the expectations for everyone, even non-Lions fans, is after seeing what they did for the second half of last season, is to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Next up, Darren Waller. You know, uh, t- you know, um, very good tight end. Let's just put it. Very.
And man, his backstory too, came up off of
He has
drugs
a
and all that stuff,
yeah, he has a
man.
backstory. Put it very humbly, like extremely good tight end for the Raiders. Traded to the Giants for a fifth round pick.
Yeah,
Like I think that's like
vet
a
tight end. About for that seems about right. Fifth, fourth at most. I don't know. I don't know. I think a third would have been nice, but regardless, at the very least, Giants got themselves a weapon.
oh
Um,
yeah,
because I don't know
it,
who they had at tight end previously, because Evan Ingram wasn't there, of course.
yeah.
So,
It's
uh,
but like other moves that Giants have done. Sterling Shepard, another 1 year deal. Even though I'm kind of surprised with that one because Sterling Shepard, I thought
he's been okay. He's
I
just
thought he
been
publicly said that he wanted to move on. Or no, who am I? Oh, maybe I'm thinking of Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, Kenny Galladay they let go because they had to get some cap savings in there too. But he hasn't. Galladay wasn't doing much. I think when Galladay was there, he wasn't doing much for them
No,
when he went.
that's
So
that was the joke, is that he was basically robbing the Giants. Other moves they made, they got Matt Breida in at running back to probably supplement Saquon,
yeah,
for a 1 year, $2.3 million deal, which is always good. They've signed Raheem Nunez Roaches for 3 years. They've signed
good
Bobby,
old punter,
yeah,
good old punter, and Jamie Gillen. Two
Jamie
years,
Gillen,
$4 million. I would love $2 million a year though. I ain't gonna lie to
and then
you.
Bobby Okereke for 4 years, 40 million as well. Which in a Brian Dobble defense is going to be, or Brian Dobble's more offensive, I think. But
Yeah.
in what a Brian Dobble led team did last year on the defensive side of the ball, I think these guys are going to continue to grow, which is going to be great to see.
Mm-hmm. Got
Um,
nothing else?
Next one up, we had Raiders doing the Raiders things.
Mm-hmm.
Big headlines. Signed Jimmy G. I don't have the deal in front of me actually. If
I
you
got
if
you.
you know
Go
the if
ahead.
you know the deal,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy G, quarterback of the future for the Raiders. Very lateral move in my opinion, but the Raiders are they got their new quarterback for the next season.
Yeah,
What
3 years, 67.5 million. I think it's like 30 or 40 something of it is fully
guaranteed?
guaranteed.
So probably
Yeah.
like a couple years kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Jimmy G, he's got weapons. Hunter Renfro, he's got Devonte Adams, and one more I'm forgetting, but no longer Darren Waller, obviously.
We got Jacoby. Well, did you say Jacoby Myers? Because they got him,
Oh
of
yeah, they
course.
just signed Jacoby Myers from the
Mhm.
Patriots, 3 years, 33 million as well, and yeah, so obviously retained Josh Jacobs on a franchise tag and signed Amir Abdullah as a backup for 1 year, 1.7 million as well.
Yeah.
Solidified their a lot of offensive weapons. I don't know the state of their offensive line. They signed Brandon Parker for a 1 year, $1.5 million deal, but other pieces on their offensive line I'm not too sure about. But they need to keep Jimmy G upright if they want any semblance of success next year.
He has injury concerns is all I got to say. And then my question is, are they now now they're gonna look elsewhere in the draft? Because a lot of people were saying you know, they were gonna trade up. They were gonna trade up to the Seahawks. Ooh, excuse me. They were gonna trade up to the Seahawks for a quarterback before, but now not anymore, I
Yeah,
guess.
maybe they're doing a similar thing that we are, which is, I mean, the terms of that contract are similar to Geno's. Obviously, Geno has a lot more upside in his, but in a 3 year deal, maybe they're just looking for a bridge situation. The
Oh, he's
Raiders are
definitely a Brit, like the Brit, I guess, Madden terminology, the bridge mentor, if you will.
yeah, and so I mean, well, that's what he's kind of been at the Niners too with Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, but
Injured, yeah.
yeah, injured. But that as far as that team is looking for, they're probably just trying to solidify themselves, and maybe look for a quarterback in the later rounds this year or early rounds next year.
Yep.
Um, Texans, they Texans are a team that were active on paper. I
Yeah.
mean, they didn't really do any home run signings besides Robert Woods
Whoa,
for
whoa,
two
whoa, whoa,
years,
whoa!
17.
They signed the myth and the legend Chase Winovich. Do you not follow him on Twitter, man? Like, come on, that's the guy that a lot of people. But Chase Winovich is a little bit like Twitter famous and stuff like that. Like,
Is he really?
for just a little bit. I'm just flaming him up just a little bit,
Oh,
a
okay,
little
there
bit.
we go. Because I
No,
was gonna
no.
say he's he was a good player for the Patriots. When he was on the Patriots, I don't know too much about his career trajectory at this point, but if he's not still on the Patriots and he's only getting paid 2.75 million for a 1 year deal, I imagine it's not a lot of productivity on his side of things these days.
Yeah. I don't know. Other overall Texans active on paper to me. I
Yeah,
think they also got Jimmy Ward I think cornerback Jimmy Ward or defensive back Jimmy Ward. Mike Boone signed into a 2 years. They traded for Shaq Mason from the Bucks, though. That was a little bit of like a solid trade, in my opinion, just to at least start to shore up the O line for that future QB, whoever it is, either CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, depending on what 1 and 2 do.
yeah,
Hassan Ridgeway, a lot of 1 year deals, if you will. The only big deal is just Robert Woods, but it's just a vet receiver.
hmm
No shade against Robert Woods. It's just 2 years, 17 mil. I don't know what else to say. It's just they're active on paper. The big thing was just Robert Woods, right? At least they have a
yeah,
receiver for their future quarterback. They have something.
yeah. Well, along
Um,
with Brandon Cooks, right?
they're not like the Carolina Panthers where they have nothing now.
Yeah, that him with Brandon Cooks is a good 1-2 punch. Can't remember their tight end's name, but he was pretty solid as well. And then obviously they got our guy Damian Pierce on
Hmm.
at running back. So the like you said, the biggest probably move is Robert Woods, but I also really like that Shaq Mason move from the Bucks because Shaq Mason's a pretty solid guard too.
Oh, of course. I think the Bucks can. I think the Bucks. Yeah, I think they're just looking for a quarterback overall, but I don't. Yeah, I guess they're trying to get rid of some talent because they have a lot of money held up in the receiving core right now and stuff like that. So that's why the Shaq Mason trade happened. Helped them save on cap savings, and Texans got themselves a good guard. I don't know how good the whole O line is, besides like a few standouts like with their tackles and stuff like that. But hopefully
Yeah.
I want to see who they draft, and I want to see just what they look like come next year.
Yeah. Next up, we had Vikings. Vikings had a few moves, nothing too super splashy, but we could just rattle through them. Josh Oliver, 3 year, 21 million, which I think this made headlines because he's primarily known as a blocking tight end. So
Yep.
people were saying maybe the Will Dissly deal wasn't so bad, but it's he does do good as that sixth man with his hand on the ground
Hmm.
for them, especially with their rush attack. They signed defensive end Marcus Davenport from like
Saints.
a Saints, yeah, for one
Mm.
year, $13 million deal, which is pretty solid because Vikings. I think the headline was Vikings. Well, really quick, Garrett.
Hmm.
They signed Garrett Bradbury on a 3 year, $15.75 million year, and re-signed Nick Mullins. I think the biggest headline for the Vikings has been Zadarius Smith asking to be released, and people kind of roasting Zadarius Smith because Darius Smith was like, he went out there on Twitter and he thanked the Minnesota organization and the fans like he had been released, but I don't think Minnesota had actually released him yet.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw some articles on that. Like he wants to be released, and Vikings like we don't want to release you.
Yeah, you're under contract.
So, and that's like a bit of an issue. And I think he even asked for like, hey, for a trade, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to trade you. We don't want to let you go. We don't want to do
He had
anything like
20
that.
sacks last year, so you can't blame him for looking for money. That's a very solid, defensive lineman. But
Yeah.
I couldn't help but thinking like when he said when he tweeted out, thank you, the Minnesota fans, for making me feel at home and all that stuff. It reminded me so much of that episode of The Office where Michael just walks out of his office and shouts, "I declare bankruptcy." Goes back
Yeah,
in his
man.
office, and I think Pam or Oscar come in, and they're like, just saying that you declare bankruptcy it doesn't mean you actually are claiming bankruptcy. And Michael goes, I didn't say it, I declared it.
There's two different things, man. Two different things. It's like
Yeah.
elephant and elephant seal.
But yeah, I don't know what that situation is kind of panning out to be over
An
there for
ugly one
them.
at that. I don't know that for sure, especially with their defense being horrendous at the end of the year and costing them a lot. So,
Yeah, yeah, they kind of man, I don't know. It's just kind of a middling team, but we've talked a lot about the Vikings over the course of the year. They've been one of those teams that they have a lot of wins on paper, but haven't been really convincing. We're just passing on the same criticism that was passed on to us for all those one score wins that we would always have.
Yeah, it's up to Kirk Thuggins and the team to see what
Kirk
they do.
Thuggins. Next up, this one's we could rattle off these next two pretty quick. They're not
Yep.
Bucks. First off, signed Jamel Dean to a 4-year, $52 million deal. Is that a re-sign or did they go out and sign him? Where was he before?
Resign. He was
Yeah,
on
that's
the
what I
team.
thought. And I think he played opposite of Antoine Winfield Jr. Right?
Yes, if I remember correctly. I just know they need to start retaining some talent on that team, and that's at least one. I think they're
Yeah,
still trying to work. I think they were actually working some magic to get some cap, and then if not, looking to see at all their contracts. But I haven't heard much from the Bucks side of things besides who's going to be their quarterback.
yeah,
I've heard Baker Mayfield has been rumored to go over there and be the man, but who knows?
yeah. And maybe they just kind of do like a bridge situation, like Raiders as well.
Because they ain't high enough to get a quarterback. I know that's for sure. Unless like quarterback, like all of a sudden, it's like, why is this quarterback here? I'm not saying he's like the top five, but like we'll take
Yeah,
him.
I mean, yeah. I don't think a quarterback will drop like if something drops into their lap. That'd feel like a huge injustice, but that's just me being salty.
Hmm.
Uh, Next up, we had Titans. Titans, they've released a number of their players, a lot of their organization. They're basically like, hey, we need to get our shit together.
Rebuild.
Really,
They had their window. Because we all seen when they were actually in the
yeah.
playoffs and stuff, and it's like that's it. Like you have that year, maybe the next, but then after that, they're even trying to shop King Henry, which I haven't seen anything on that yet. So yeah.
If we get him for a seventh round pick, I wouldn't mind. That'd be a good bridge running back.
Oh my gosh, please. I wish we had King Henry on the team. Do you know how awesome that would be? Just
I
hey
just
man,
love the
just
way he just fits in with our beast mode like type of mentality when it comes to runners and stuff like that. But they're not going to let him go for anything cheap.
yeah, of
But
course.
they went out and signed offensive tackle Andre Dillard, 3 years, 29 million from I believe the Eagles,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so that's a pretty solid move. They've of course let go their center and I believe Taylor Lewan their left
Mm.
tackle.
I forgot to also mention for the Eagles, they retained Jason Kelsey.
Okay, yeah,
He's coming back for another year, basically.
yeah, he's just kind of seeing himself out type of thing because
Hmm.
he ain't gonna go anywhere else. But that's good to see.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, and yeah, Andre Dillard, I think he plays left tackle, and so
Yeah.
he's probably taking Taylor one spot because if he was on the Eagles, I think Lane Johnson was that right tackle, so
Hmm.
that makes sense. But
Correct.
pretty solid move for an offensive tackle. Only 3 years, 29 million. They're probably going to look to continue building in the draft because Mike Vrabel's an O lineman. He knows how important they are.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I'll let you rattle off this one because it's talking about Broncos, and it's for once I don't think it's a bad thing to what the Broncos are doing down there. You want to go through?
Yeah. Apparently they think it's a good idea to protect Russ. I don't know if it's supposed to be a slight against us or not, but yeah, so they got Mike McGlinchey. I believe he was from the 49ers, or because he wasn't, or was he
I
already
think
there?
49ers.
49ers. Okay, so they got him right tackle, 5 years, 87.5 million. So basically, they
Big
said,
money.
yeah, we need to protect Russ. Besides, have an actual good offensive scheme. Tight end Chris Manhertz, 2 years, 6 mil. Linebacker Alex Singleton, 3 years, 18 million. So that's a good one. Zach Allen, defensive end, 3 years, 45.8 million. Running back Samaje P. Ryan, representing the Pflugerville out here in Texas, over there now with the Broncos, 2 years, 7.5 million. Quarterback Jarrett Stidham, 2 years, 10 million.
Him.
Stid him, because if Russ isn't the one, Stid him will take a stand. 2 years, $10 million. An offensive lineman Ben Powers, 4 years, 52 million. 52 million. I think he was a guard, if I remember correctly. Punter Corliss Waitman, 1 year, 940. Another offensive lineman in Quinn Bailey, and linebacker Jonas Griffith. They just, to me, it's just like we signed, it's basically the offensive line and defensive line with that one, and
Which is the
that's
right
it.
move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, personally.
But in the script, I'm the one that put. I think they Broncos think it's a good idea to protect Russ, but I kind of put that sarcastically because I think what Broncos fans found out is the best version of Russ is the one that's like
For
has
his
to
own
ad lib.
offense.
Yeah, creates his own offense. He has to ad lib. He's always kind of like under pressure. You don't get that when you when you invest in an O line for him. So you might not get the best out of Russ, but you also might get a different kind of Russ. We'll see what the Broncos do. But Sean Payton's already off to a good start. He's solidifying a lot of areas of that team.
Oh, of
Obviously, your right
course.
tackle was important, but also
Oh shoot.
just throughout their defense on the roster.
Yeah. Did we already talk about Andy Dalton where he's going? Because like as we were
We
talking on this
skipped.
episode, we got there's been updates and I'm looking at it right now. But besides Andy Dalton, but did we talk about him by any chance?
We didn't. I think we skipped over Panthers because we didn't. They don't have much going on at the moment.
Well, I could at least say this is just like some extra stuff we can, and we'll do this and we'll wrap up the episode. So basically, Colts they let go of Matt Ryan. By the way, they cut him, or they're planning to cut him. By the way,
Okay.
yeah, because they traded Stephen Gilmore, which helped create for them 27.1 million in cap space, which is nice. Um,
With Matt
uh,
Ryan, right?
yeah, for Matt Ryan, and no, actually trading Stephen Gilmore and releasing Matt Ryan
Combined.
combined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Andy Dalton is he has a 2 year, $10 million deal. 8 million of it's guaranteed with the Carolina Panthers, so he's their starting quarterback, of course, until whoever or they're going to get a quarterback and Andy Dalton's just going to be the backup. So they said, hey, stay here for 2 years, man. We at least need you. You're solid. Let me see. They also, as part of the Colts trade to acquire Matt, his agent negotiated a new contract that included a $12 million guarantee that was not in. Oh wow. So apparently Matt Ryan remains entitled to a $12 million still from the
Hmm.
Colts. So again, being a
Colts
fired
being
quarterback,
Colts.
we always get proven that being a fired quarterback, you still get paid. Cowboys actually signed back linebacker Leighton Vander Esch for 2 years, 11 million.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and
I hate
then
to see that because Vander Esch is a good player, and I hate when when the
oh,
Cowboys do good moves.
we have another Seahawks deal happening. So we are actually
Did it
finalizing
just
a deal.
happen?
Yeah, well, it happened around literally at around 6, so around the time we started. They're
Oh, okay.
finalizing a deal to bring back defensive tackle Jaron Reed on a 2 year deal.
Oh, really?
So it's 2 years, a max of 10.8 million from a
Yeah, that's
source.
because we get. I think he was on the Packers, or he after he left us, and he kind of got money that he wasn't. We weren't going to give him, but it
I
kind of
hope we're
came full
still going
circle.
out. I hope we still go after an edge slash blue chip defender still with our pick. I hope they don't just do something like
Oh yeah,
quarterback. It's like
no,
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 come on.
so much pain on that front seven.
Chargers are actually releasing their starting guard Matt Failer. He had an 8.5 million cap hit for 2023. Who else? We have Vikings. They signed back their All Pro long snapper Andrew DePaula, reached an
We love our
agreement
long snappers on the Misreps podcast.
of course, 3 years, 4.025 mil. Who else do we have here? Oh wow. Oh wow, this is funny. So apparently they tried to they tried to actually for a backup QB movement. One team checked in this week with the recently retired Chad Henne, and
Oh
they were like,
God,
"Hey, you want to come back?" And he apparently declines it. I'm going to remain retired, my guy. I
yeah,
got a Super Bowl. I'm not trying to just come back and be like, "Oh, okay."
yeah.
Uh, Caleb McGarry is signing back with the Falcons on a 3 year, $34.5 million
Go Huskies.
deal. Yeah. Who else we have? Appear those elsewhere. Okay. Yeah. So and McGarry is their right tackle. So they basically just trying to keep that O line in. And finally, we have some. Oh, apparently Panthers are trying to. They're trying to host the former Vikings receiver Adam Thielen.
Oh
Uh,
really?
yeah.
Hey, I wouldn't mind Adam Thielen as a third receiver.
They don't have a receiver. He would be their receiver. What you mean?
No, for us.
Oh, yes, facts. And then New England is re-signing Jarrell Peppers, safety to a 2 year deal, and I don't think,
See,
yeah,
in the 2 hours since we started like recording and recording this and like planning to record this, shit's happening.
yeah. Oh, and then okay, here you're gonna love this one. So this is from in the division. The 49ers free agent defensive end Samson Ibukam, if you remember him, he
Mhm.
signed a 3 year, $27 million max deal with the Colts. So he's over at the Colts now.
They got that
Um,
pipeline between
right.
DeForest Buckner now him.
Yeah, Raiders they signed a fullback and Jacob Johnson. Vikings re-signed their kicker Greg Joseph to a 1 year deal. Oh, and then the Arizona Cardinals are bringing back Will Hernandez. I do kind of follow him a little bit. He's representing his culture and stuff like that. But he's out there and he'll be their starter again because they do need offensive linemen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wish there was some other news that came out, but besides that, I think he got a 2 year, $9 million deal. So they got him. The former second round pick of the Giants stays in Arizona now, And then the Bills have actually restructured the contract of Stephon Diggs. I think we kind of, not in this episode, but they're converting his base salary basically into a bonus. They're just saving 5.4 million in cap space. And then finally, Titans. They are expected to sign a former 49ers offensive lineman, Daniel Brunskill or Brunskill. So yeah, you got some movement there.
Yeah,
And that's all.
that's all from us here. But with that, do you have anything? Do you have anything else before we sign off here?
I hope that we kind of either do like a re-signing of somebody on the Seahawks, I guess on the defensive side of things. Um, and if not, what else? I don't know. When is the draft? That's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's
The draft is next month, and I can't wait. Draft night, whenever that comes around, I'm definitely going to be tuned in because we're in the top 5. Come on, man.
Yeah, the draft is annoying because it's like there's like it feels like there's 5 minutes between every pick. They're like really milking it, but yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, that's it for me. What about you?
Um, yeah, like I said, man, we're probably like by the time this podcast comes out, we're gonna be so behind because like in the 2 hours already like 10 things happen, and we don't release until the following morning. Um, but it's just been kind of really wild, with like teams like the Bears, they're still with all the cap they got, hoping that they can make moves. So we'll do our best to stay up to date with all of the big moves that come on, like if Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, those type of
Mhm.
deals. We'll do those. If you follow us, if you all follow us on our YouTube, we'll keep you guys up to date. We'll give our thoughts and our reactions as they come.
Oh, and then here's a good one, real quick on the Seahawks coaching staff. We are bringing Nico Thorpe in as a former player.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
As a coach?
Yep, he's going to
Okay,
be an assistant coach. I think we brought. I think we also brought 2 new offensive assistants in Donovan Jackson and Robbie Picasso. I don't know too much on them off the top of my head, but where the former Seahawk Nico Thorpe will be an official member as well. They actually posted it on Twitter. Like they posted like on Instagram and stuff, like the full coaching staff. So
solid.
cool. Yeah, but yeah, that's it from us here at Misreps Podcast. Please, you can actually catch this podcast also on YouTube as well. We got some clips up there too. Make sure you just if you're watching this on YouTube, hey, just give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ask some questions. We want to talk with y'all, see what y'all what y'all got to say on all of this free agency mayhem. All the fans of every team, are you liking what everyone's doing right now? Do you not like something your team is doing right now? Let us know, and also come see us on Twitter and Instagram with our handle Mr. Eps, and hope to see you again next week. Peace.